Welcome, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. I'm really glad you could join me today. We're down in my basement. It's middle of January and it's freezing cold out there. So we're going to do an inside the toolbox video, and I'm going to talk about the hammers I've used over the years and the proper way of holding a nail when you go to hammer it. So over my 40 years of contracting, I've been through all kinds of hammers, and I just take a few minutes here and we'll go through some of the different hammers. Now this one's like a Maul Hammer for, if you have to tear down some walls or you have some stakes out in your garden you want to drive in, or tent stakes, a little bit heavier. I'm not really sure the ounce on this, it's so worn out, but my biggest hammer here is a 20-ounce hammer. This might be a 30 or more, and there's various sizes out there. Of course, you got their long-handled sledgehammers that you could also use too. But this has been a good Maul hammer for me for driving in different stakes and stuff through the year. A little bit heavier, like I said. This here is like a 20-ounce rip hammer. And of course, all these hammers, they all have claws. The rip hammers are straighter, for digging into something. If you need to dig into, tear some plaster off a wall, or tear 2x4s apart, or, it's just like almost like an axe handle, I also have used these out when I do electrical work. If I need to bury a wire or something, a low voltage wire, I can use this to claw through the mulch in your garden bed, or even just through some soil itself. So even the claw hammers make a good digging tool for outside if you need to dig a real narrow trench. This 20-ounce claw hammer, again, it has some on the ends here, it's indented so you get a better gription. This, of course, is a wooden handle on here. So, some of these other handles, like this one here, is a perma-bonded fiberglass handle, which would last a lot longer. But this is for if you're really driving in nails all the time. It's a pretty good hammer, mostly for framing, construction. For around the house hammer, it would still work okay. But this here is a 16-ounce rip claw or a rip hammer, and again, fiberglass handle. The head's molded in, so you don't ever have to worry about the head flying off like this wooden one here. It's not really bonded in there permanently, but this one's bonded. This is actually a pretty old hammer that I've used for quite a few years, and I did upgrade to a nice new plumb hammer here. You'll see in a minute, but I like the 16-ounce. It's got a nice feel to it for me. It's not real heavy and it's not real light, so that works good. And then I have these two old hammers. I used to go to auctions years ago, and so I just had these in some of my toolboxes. And some of your hammer heads also have a flat head, and some are a curved head. Like this is a curved head. It actually has a slight curve to it, so you don't get the hammer marks in your wood. I don't even know why they made a flat head. It might have been just for using common nails for when you do framing construction. But again, and these curved claws are good for pulling out nails, finished nails and so on. Another little tack hammer for doing some real small nails, tack nails. So that's handy if you need to have one of them, need one of these around. And so this is the hammer that I use now. I actually bought these a couple years ago. It was nice for my toolbox to just have a brand new one. It's a plumb perma-bond handle, and they're not that expensive, and they'll just last forever, And so plumb is a good name through the construction industry. They make a good hammer. P-L-U-M-B, plumb. And this, again, it's a 16-ounce rip hammer. So, and I also wanted to show you another trick. Over time, like this hammer head got some tar on it. And they also get shiny and slippery. So what you could do is you get an old brick or even concrete, and you just rub it back and forth on your hammer head. and it just roughs it up, and you'll be amazed at the difference as far as hammering your nail, and it won't tend to want to slide off the head just by simply rubbing it on some concrete or an old brick. And so let's talk about the proper way of holding a nail. Yes, there is a right way and there's a wrong way to hold a nail. And one reason I wanted to do this video now too is because a couple months ago I was up on the second floor of a roof, hanging over the edge, trying to hammer this nail in, and lo and behold, I ended up smacking my finger, my left-handed trigger finger, with my hammer. You may have seen it on my other videos, but you know, right there I smacked it really good. My nail's almost falling off now, so I look forward to that, finally losing this nail. But I just wanted to take a minute and show you the right way to hold a nail and to hammer it. And so, you know, typically when someone picks up a nail, the tendency is to hold it at the bottom, you know. But the problem is, if you hold it at the bottom, first of all, then your thumb and forefingers right up against the wood. So if you were to miss the nail, your finger is pinned right up against the wood. So it's really going to hurt because there's no room for it to fall. You know, it's pinned against it, and sure enough, you're going to slam it right against the wood. But the real proper way to hold a nail is you hold it up at the top, just like that, as simple as that. That way, if you were to miss the nail, at least there's some distance between your finger and the board, and the tendency is just to push your finger away. But like I said earlier, holding it at the bottom, it's going to pin it right against the wood, and you know, you're going to really hurt your finger. And so, but this finger here of mine's been hurt. Well, it doesn't hurt anymore, but it's just aggravating. And so little tips and tricks like this will keep you from doing what I did here with this finger here. Now, you also could use say a pair of needle nose. You know, you could do that if you're in a tight situation, or you just want to hold the nail with the needle nose. That works perfectly. But like I said, the key is holding it up top when you're starting to nail it. Also, another way to use your hammer is when you drive a nail in, the hammer should really be the extension of your arm. In other words, if you're hammering a nail in all day long, like just using your wrist like this, you're eventually going to have carpal tunnel syndrome, and you're going to just do some damage on your wrist. So really what you want to do is hold your arm out straight and just have your hammer basically be an extension of your arm like that. And that way, you're just moving it like that. Takes a little bit of practice, but that's really what you want to do. You don't really want to be back and forth like this. It's going to really hurt your wrist. As far as pulling out some nails, you know, one good trick is if you have the nail in pretty far, sometimes you can use the side of your hammer like this and just to pull the nail out. Now that's another good trick. Or if the nail's in pretty good like that, I just have the brick handy. You could always stick something under it and pull it out. That's, you know, for more leverage. See, it's really up pretty high to get the hammer to do it, so you put a board under it, gives you a little bit more leverage for that. And so I think that pretty much covers it as far as the hammers go. But I do like the plumb hammer. It's got a nice end on it, a nice rubber grip, feels comfortable, and like I said, it will last probably a lifetime as long as you don't lose it, you know. And so anyhow, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have any suggestions, maybe, or any questions, you know, maybe we can do a video on any question you might have. So I just want to thank you for joining me today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.